Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we will be going over how to price items using the PoE trade macro. If you do not know what the PoE trade macro is, go and look at one of my previous videos on what it is and how to install it. I also want to go on the record to say that I am no professional at pricing items. I am still pretty new to the game, I would say, and I'm learning more on how to price items and understanding the value of items. What I do is that I take the modifiers and the numeric values of items and I compare them to others already up for sale. So I will now show you a couple of instances in how I use the PoE trade macro and how I price some of my items that I have up for sale, or understand which items are worth selling and which items are not worth selling. We're going to start off by using the Control D function, which is just a quick search on the item itself, if it is a unique item, or it's going to give us an estimated number if we do it on a rare item. The estimated number is based on AI calculations, so you cannot be too sure if it's actually correct. So we will start off by using the Control D function on this wasp nest, and it will show us that the average price of a wasp nest is about 1 alchemy. If we do it on the Volcanus Demon Dagger, it's going to show us 1 alchemy, maybe even up to 1 Val Orb. If you do it on rare items, it is the AI that will calculate it for us, and it will show us that this is between 8 and 12 chaos, which I think is a little bit too much. You can also use it on currency items like Exalted Orb in order to figure out how much they're worth, and we see here, maybe up to 158 chaos. Works for most items, like even deviation cards as well, showing us that the taming here is 0.8 or 0.9 exalts. One thing that you gotta keep in mind if you are trying to sell uniques though, is that uniques have modifiers that can have a very big range in numeric values. As you can see here, the increased physical damage percentage is between 150 to 170, but on my item it is 169. I also have 24 attack speed out of 25 and 23 crit out of 25 as well. When you look at stuff like this, they can actually be worth a lot more money depending on if they're very close to perfect rolls. So we're going to use the Control-Alt-D function on this instead. We're going to check those boxes for those specific things. And then since this is a unique item, I will actually go and I will manually put in the almost exact numbers of what mine is. 24, god damn it, 23 and 168-ish. And then we search, and we see that these range between 8 even up to 15 chaos. This right here, this is a price fixer, or he doesn't know what he's doing. So go buy that one. If you want to be able to see the values that it can have and what yours actually have by holding down Alt, which also can show you tiers on rare items like this, then you go to Options, UI, you scroll down to the bottom, and you will find Advanced Mod Descriptions. If I uncheck that box, it will not show us what range it can have. It's not showing the tiers on this helmet. But if I do check it, shows the tiers, shows the range. If you are looking at rare items, I suggest that using the Control-Alt-D function is the best function to use when you look at rare items. For example, this helmet right here. I use the Control-Alt-D function. I see that it has fire, cold, lightning, and a decent amount of life. And then I can open up on PoE Trade and I can see how much would this helmet go for perhaps. And we can see here that generally a helmet like this would be maybe 3 chaos, 4, or maybe even more. If you want to be more sure exactly how much your item is worth, I suggest that you put in the exact values, at least the minimum values of your helmet in any of these 4 boxes. For example, if we look at my helmet, it has 57 life, 44 cold, 27 fire, and 21 lightning. So I would put 20 lightning, maybe 40 cold, at least 25 fire, and about 55 life, let's say. I would then search, and I can see that it's still basically the same. So I guess for this item, it doesn't really matter. I would maybe price this around 3 to 5 chaos at max, hoping that I could get a buyer. Another thing that you need to keep in mind as well is that sometimes when you look at, for example, a weapon or boots, helmet, stuff like that, you need to keep in mind that they can have a special base like an elder base or a shaper base. Some helmets, you know, can have very good enchants from them from the Uber lab, and some boots can, for example, have other enchants as well that could increase the value of the item. So let's, for example, look at this helmet that I have here. In this case, I would look at first the Bane enchant, and then I would look at the helmet itself. So if you want to look for enchants, it's going to be in this box here. It's going to show you every time that you look at it as well. So you check that box, and then you open up on PoE Trade, and it's going to show us that just a 15% increased area effect Bane enchant is not really worth that much. If we then have a look at the helmet itself, seeing that it has a good amount of life, fire, cold, even some intelligence, which can sometimes matter into things like this, it will show me that some guy priced one for 30 alterations and some guy priced it for 1 exalt. And that doesn't really show us much due to the intelligence enchant or the intelligence mod. So I'm going to lower the intelligence mod, and we're going to keep the rest. I'm going to put the numbers up a little bit still though. 23 here maybe, and we'll search, because 50 intelligence is really big on a helmet, and it's very hard to find other items to compare yours with that one. I see here that once again we're sitting on maybe 3 to 4 chaos for this helmet, maybe up to 5 with the Bane enchant. As I stated previously as well, some items can have very important bases that it is important that you look for as well, such as, for example, a Vol axe with an Elder base. Really important as well that you use the alt function here, where we can see the numeric values and the modifiers of everything, and you look for item level. You can see here that this Vol axe had an item level of 80, and in most cases for crafting bases you look for item level 80 or higher in order to get special crafts on it. So a Vol axe, I would use the Control Alt D. This has 6 links, but we don't have to take that in consideration, so we're gonna uncheck that box. It does have an Elder base, it is a Vol axe, and it does have item level 80 minimum. So if we search for that alone, let's say you would just randomly do a Elder map, you would get a Elder Vol axe with item level 80. Well, we can see here that the base alone, if you look at this one here for example, this one does not even have any modifiers. The base alone is worth 2.4 exalted orbs, which is a lot of money. Also, something that you need to remember is that sometimes when you're out there looting items that you think might be worth money, or you were hoping that they would be worth a lot of money, they can still be worth more or can still be worth something. I will make a tutorial video on how to do basic crafting and understanding basic crafting as well. So for example, this helmet that I have right here, I have crafted life on it. So instead of it having 75 life, it now has 96 life instead. Sometimes items can be worth more because they have an open prefix or suffix that you can craft on, increasing the value of the item. I also need to say that, for example, when you look at boots like this, that has fire, lightning and cold, in some cases people look for the specifically fire, lightning or cold resistance, or in some cases people look for the overall elemental resistances. And do keep in mind as well that you see maximum life here and you see maximum life here. The reason why I always check this box is because the item can have strength on it, which will give the item overall more life, and that will show up in this number here instead of this here. And people usually search for overall life. So if we would look at these boots, 84 life, 113 resistances, and of course the movement speed, it would show me that these boots are worth somewhere about 15-20 chaos or more, depending if I fiddle around a little bit more with these exact numbers. So you might think to yourself right now, how do I know if a rare item is actually good and I should put it up for sale? What modifiers are actually worth anything? It is hard to know, and it takes a while to learn the game and learn what builds and what characters utilizes what modifiers and what you should be looking for on a rare item, instead of just spending 10 minutes trying to figure out if a garbage ring is worth anything while you should have just vendored it and kept mapping. Here are some modifiers that are, generally speaking, things that a lot of people look for on different items. It can be very different though, but life almost goes hand in hand on almost every item. On weapons, as melee weapons, you obviously look for a lot of physical damage or elemental damage. On caster weapons, you look for spell damage and stuff like that. It can be very different, and sometimes you might vendor an item that is good, or sometimes you might spend 10 minutes trying to figure out if this garbage item is worth anything, but that takes experience and it will come eventually. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Thank you super much for watching this video. I hope that this learned you more on how to price items, what items to generally look for if you want to sell. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to go to my Twitch channel over at twitch.tv/burgerbrush. I stream full-time on Twitch as a partner, and I am always open for questions whenever I am live. Feel free to jump into the chat and ask me anything you want about the game. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.